How's it going, Knicks fans? Welcome back to another episode of Fireside Knicks. I'm your host, Dylan Backer, and I'm with my brother and co-host, Justin Backer. And tonight, the New York Knicks were eliminated from the in-season tournament, losing in blowout fashion to the Milwaukee Bucks by a final score of 146 to 122. Giving up nearly 150 points is not ideal, and we're going to get into all those types of things. It was not the prettiest night for the New York Knicks, but without further ado, though, I'm just going to pass it off to Justin. He's going to recap the game for us and give us some of his biggest takeaways from a pretty bad loss.
Yeah, they're eliminated from the in-season tournament. I guess this was the quarterfinals against the Bucks. Obviously, they advanced through the in-season tournament and all that, and we ended up getting rewarded with the Milwaukee Bucks. Isn't that fun? Yeah, they got blown out in this one pretty bad. I would say that the Knicks kind of just got outplayed from start to finish. I really wouldn't say that in any time in this game I was confident the Knicks were going to win. I kind of had a feeling in like the second or third quarter this was not going to be a very good game. The Bucks shot ridiculously good from three. 23 for 38 from three, which is good for 60%. That's one of the best three-point shooting games I've ever seen in my life in an NBA game. I don't know where that ranks all time, but it's got to be up there because I've never seen a team be that lights out from three. The Knicks defense just was not great in this one. 146 points given up. The Bucks shot 60% from the field and 60% from three on a lot of shots, like I just said. So very frustrating. I kind of knew this was going to be a tough game, given that it's on the road and it's big atmosphere, with the whole in-season tournament thing. I didn't think this would be a very easy game, but I thought they'd play better than this. I thought they would, they kind of laid an egg in this one. They came out and just looked flat and yeah, very disappointing. I really don't have much else to say. Some things I will highlight though. If there's one silver lining from this game, it's Julius Randle. He had a fantastic game. 41 points for him, 14 for 19 from the field. He was 2 for 2 from three. He had a good game. He's basically safe from any criticism in my eyes in this game. The whole team really was just pretty disappointing in this one, but Julius did everything he really could to keep the team afloat. I mean, he was perfect through the first half. He had 25 points in the first half and was 9 for 9. What more can you really ask out of the guy? You know what I mean? So I know a lot of Knicks fans are going to somehow find a way to pin this loss on Randle because that's what people do when the Knicks lose. They find a way to pin it on Randle, but he's safe from any criticism tonight from me. I thought he played pretty exceptional. I thought he did what he was supposed to. 41 points. This is probably his best game of the season. So I'm pretty satisfied with how he played. But, other than that, RJ Barrett struggled again. He had 23 points, sure, but he was 7 for 18 from the field. Since that migraine spell, he's not been the same player. Through the first, I have the numbers in front of me. This is from Knicks Muse on Twitter. So if you're watching this, shout out Knicks Muse. But through the first 7 games, RJ was averaging 22.5 points a game, 62% true shooting. I mean, like he looked like he had taken a leap. Everything was falling for him. He was 20 for 40, I believe, on his 3-point attempts, shooting 50% from three. We had never seen that from him before. The free throw shooting leap, everything was a leap. You know what I mean? You felt pretty confident that he was about to have a big season. Usually he starts the season off slow, like really, really slow, and you wait for him to pick it up. But it seems like we're seeing a bit of an opposite effect this time around because after those first 7 games, that's when he got, the little migraine spell, I guess, whatever. He missed 3 games with that. And since then, he's played 8 games. And in those 8 games, he's only averaging 15 points. His true shooting is down 13%. His true shooting is only 47% now. It was 15% actually. I miscounted. It was 62% through the first seven games, and now it's 47% through these last 8 games. So I don't know what's going on. I kind of had a bad feeling this was going to happen because this is not the first time that RJ's gotten into a bit of a role. He's playing some good basketball and then a weird injury happens to him and he's never the same. It happened last year when he started to finally start clicking a little bit after a slow start last year, and he had that freak finger injury against the Mavericks. Was never the same after that, really until the playoffs. For the rest of the regular season, he was just a mystery. He was kind of missing. So I don't know. Hopefully he turns it around though. We really need him to turn it around because these last 8 games he's kind of gone back to the confusing and frustrating RJ Barrett that I unfortunately have become accustomed to with him. And yeah, I need to see him play better than this because I don't know. Obviously he had 23 points tonight. His box score might look okay, but if you really watch the game, you could see that just I don't know. He's not hitting the timely shots, things like that. Just there's little things with him, obviously. So I don't know. And yeah, unfortunately, I have to address this elephant in the room once again, even though I really don't want to. I think you know where I'm going with this. Quentin Grimes didn't score again. At this point, is this going to be like a scheduled announcement? Every game, am I going to come on here and say he didn't score? 18 minutes, he took one shot and he missed that one shot. It was a corner three. I remember that shot. Came up way short. Why? What's going on? He didn't score again. Like I said, is this going to become a thing where I come on here after every game and I say he didn't score? I just wrote an article for EmpireSportsMedia.com the other day, where I talked about his struggles. And, he's averaging like 2 points through the last, I want to say, 6 or 7 games, something like that. He's averaging like 2 points. It probably went down today after he just laid another egg. This is like the third time through this stretch where he hasn't scored. I don't know if he's just not getting involved. I don't know the answer at this point, but it's hurting the Knicks, especially in the third quarter. You can really see it hurt the Knicks, especially in the third quarter. Lately, they've been starting the third quarters off horrifically. And largely, in my opinion, I think that's largely due to the fact that Quentin Grimes is out there running cardio with the starting five instead of actually doing something. I don't want to be like negative and call the guy out, but dude, this is just insane. You could put me out on the court at this point and it would be a similar result. I can't score in the NBA. What's the difference? You know what I mean? He hasn't scored. This is the third time that I've come on here and he hasn't scored. I don't know, man. I can live if you score if you make like 2 or 3 threes and that's your whole night. I can live with that. That's what the Knicks really need out of him. He's not even doing that. I don't know, man. It's just very, very concerning with him, and I don't know what the answer is at this point. Obviously the easy answer is Dante DiVincenzo should start. Sure, but what are you going to do about Grimes if he's playing like this? He's not going to get better, playing off the bench if he's playing like this with the starters. It'll just take a hit to his confidence and everything like that. And at this point, I hate to say it, but he's useless. He's useless. He's hurting the team at this point. Yeah. It's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. This is a frustrating loss. I'm kind of ranting a little bit because they lost by 24 points, but I feel like this is justified. He's useless out there. Grimes is honestly becoming a major concern with this team. Seeing how everyone else is playing and seeing how, when they have off nights like this where they're down by a whole lot of points and they really need a 3 ball to get back in the game. The Knicks only hit 7 threes in this game, by the way. They were 7 for 23 in this game from 3 compared to the Bucks who went 23 for 38. You really could have used Quentin Grimes' shooting to help you back in this game, but we didn't get that. He didn't even score. So I don't know. It's very, very frustrating. It's very frustrating. So I don't know. I'm kind of ranting a little bit too much now. So I'm going to kind of pass it off to you and see what you have to say.
Yeah, no, a rant is justified because this loss was pretty horrific, especially defensively. I mean, the 3-point defense was just, I don't even know where to begin with that. That was terrible. I've seen this team have some awful 3-point defense many times. I think they're pretty notorious for it. This was terrible. First off, they allowed the Bucks to take 38 3-pointers. I don't know how they managed to let them get that many good looks from outside, but the Bucks weren't missing and the Knicks did nothing about it. They did no game planning to adjust against that. The Bucks had pretty much been making all their threes from start to finish. I mean, what are they doing at halftime? I really want to know because it's every time they come out of halftime that they just look even worse than they did in the first half. Like they could have an okay first half, not a great first half, trail by a couple points or something like that. It looked like they can, a few adjustments away from going on a run, taking the lead and stuff. They come out of halftime looking like that they were just like sitting there taking a nap. And that they never recovered from their nap and never woke up. Because, man, every single time they come out of there just looking flat on defense. They're, not moving the ball on offense, taking bad shots, playing lazy transition defense, not getting rebounds. It's frustrating. They've had some good third quarters, but their third quarters, for the most part, have been horrible. I mean, terrible. Even in the games that they've won, even in some of the games where they've won by double digits, their third quarter was so bad that they almost blew it. You know what I mean? And while we have come on here many times to say how good this team is, I still believe this team is a very good team. Do not get me wrong. But the third quarters, man, they have to get better. They have to. The Knicks pretty much got themselves out of this game with that third quarter, getting outscored in the third quarter in this game, 37-24. That's not going to cut it. You were down by 3 at half, and this is a Bucks team that is very, very good. If you want to have a chance, to win this game, a pretty important game. If you want to call it a high stakes game because of the tournament, we can call it that for the sake of this. You got to play better than that in the third. You have to. I understand the Bucks are a very good team, like I just said, and it's not easy to beat them. They're one of the best teams in the NBA for a reason. They have two superstars on the floor all the time. I understand that. The Knicks, it has been a trend though. Even against bad teams, they have bad third quarters. Even against like the Hornets or the Pistons, they were in a dogfight with the Pistons just a week ago. I mean, like you could largely point that to the third quarter play. I really don't know what to say about that. Like other than something needs to be different. They need to do some. They need to actually make adjustments at halftime instead of just going to the half and going, all right, well, let's just hope we get the lead. Let's just do what we were doing before though, even though we're losing. Like I really don't know what to say about that. I want to pivot though towards the Quentin Grimes thing you mentioned. We're kind of getting sick of talking about him. Just being honest, we want to talk good about Quentin Grimes. We made a video in the offseason about how we think he can make a huge leap and how we think he's a breakout candidate. I've said that many times. I'm not going to be redundant and repeat myself here. We're getting sick of talking about him laying goose eggs every single night on the stat sheet. 0 points in 18 minutes? Come on. I don't even need to explain how bad that is. That's anybody can see that that's just bad. At this point, when are they going to start DiVincenzo? I'm getting a little frustrated at this point about it because even though we've said I don't think that it'll hurt the Knicks if they keep starting Grimes, I've changed my mind on that. It's hurting the Knicks, and you and I were watching this game live, and I said when the third quarter started, I said, why is Quentin Grimes out there? He's literally doing nothing. He's running to the corner and just sitting there, and that is exactly what he was doing. He's good for 1 or 2 threes maximum a night. Half the time, he's not even making them now anymore because he's laying goose eggs every night on the stat sheet, like I just mentioned, putting up zeros. And that's it. His defense has regressed. His shooting has regressed. He's not confident with the ball. He's not playmaking. He's not finishing. He's not passing well. I mean, what is he out there for? What is he out there for? I'm not going to sit here and say he needs the Evan Fournier treatment. No. I think if you put him in the bench unit, he can kind of, get himself regrouped and get himself together a little bit. I think he can play better if he comes off the bench. I just think if you keep starting him out there, it's doing no benefit for not only the Knicks, but himself. I really think it's hurting him and the team, like I just mentioned. I really think it's a double negative. I really do. I don't see how starting DiVincenzo takes away from any depth you have because you already have Quickly and Hart coming off the bench as it is. And I think Grimes would play better playing alongside Quickly anyway. So I really don't see how that's going to hurt their depth at this point. I know I questioned it when we first brought it up, but now I see that it wouldn't really hurt the depth at all. If anything, I would think it would make them a much better team. I think it would make the starters better. I think the starters will be able to get more open looks with a bit more of a shot creator like DiVincenzo is on the floor at the same time as more shot creators like with Brunson, Randle, and Barrett. I think it would be a huge benefit. And at this point, I think they got to do it. I honestly am kind of just hoping that on Friday when they play the Boston Celtics that I see DiVincenzo starting instead of Grimes. I think you got to make the move. Tom Thibodeau cannot be seeing Quentin Grimes put up zeros on the stat sheet every night and say, yes, I'm okay with starting him at shooting guard. He can't be seriously saying that. I really hope he's not thinking that. You know what I mean? And I don't even mind. I know some Knicks fans have pretty strong feelings about Tom Thibodeau. I think Tom Thibodeau has been a good coach for us. He needs to make this change, though. He needs to. I think it's really going to make the difference if the Knicks are going to be, an okay team versus a team that can be better. I think if you put DiVincenzo in the lineup, it can raise their ceiling a little bit. Another thing, though, I want to mention too, this was kind of the first night that Mitchell Robinson really had a dud. He only had 2 points, only 4 rebounds tonight, which is pretty uncharacteristic of him. He did have 3 assists, which is in a good way also uncharacteristic of him. But the 4 rebounds, that's not going to cut it. It's obviously tough playing against Milwaukee. They have a lot of size. Giannis had 8 rebounds tonight. Brook Lopez also had 8 rebounds. They have Bobby Portis coming off the bench. I mean, they're a team full of size and a lot of guys that are active in the paint. So I understand it's tough for Mitch to get those rebounds, but he had a pretty rough night. I think, I'm not going to just ignore it and say that, not talk about it at all. He had a pretty bad night. It was first real dud of the season, though, so, I'm not going to go too hard on him. He's been playing out of his mind all season long, so, he was kind of, I guess, due for a bad game. I guess we'll just see if he improves the next game against Boston, which is also going to be a tough opponent for him as well. One other thing I want to mention, too, Julius Randle on the good side here. Julius Randle, he's playing like an all-star again. He's playing like an all-star again. I am very happy to see that. We made a video literally just yesterday talking about not only Josh Hart having a good week, but Julius Randle as well being back to his all-star form. This was his best game of the season, and it sucks that it had to be in a 24-point loss. 41 points, that's unreal, and he was perfect in the first half. Yes, was his defense bad? Yes, but so was the rest of the team. The rest of the team also played bad defense. So if you're going to come on here and point out that Randle played a horrible defense and that's why they lost the game, I think you need to get your eyes checked and see who else was also on the floor other than Randle and see how they played defense and then come back to me about it. Sure, the 4 turnovers is also not ideal for Randle. The rest of the team also had a lot of turnovers. Jalen Brunson had 3 turnovers. Mitchell Robinson had 2 turnovers. RJ Barrett had 2 turnovers. So sure, they lost, and sure, Randle did make some mistakes. Sure, this game was not perfect for him by any means, but he's not the reason why they lost the game. If anything, he's the reason that for 3.5 quarters, they were somewhat in it. 41 points, that's unreal. I'm really happy to see that. I don't really got much else to add from this game, though. This was pretty frustrating, as you can tell by the tone of my voice. I'm not very happy with this loss. I thought that they would have played a lot better than they did tonight. If they would have lost this game in a dogfight, I would have been content with that. They got embarrassed tonight, though, and their defense was horrific, so I'm pretty upset about it. I'm going to pass it off to you, though, Justin, if you want anything else you want to add about this game, and also preview us a little bit about Boston on Friday. Got another tough opponent, and it's on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of just want to touch on what you said about Quentin Grimes and how we're sick of talking about him. I am very sick of talking about him. I obviously every episode now I feel like I'm on here and I'm like, he didn't score. He scored 2 points. He scored 3 points. He didn't score. Oh, this, that. I have to acknowledge it. He's playing pretty bad. I mean, you know what I mean? And every day Tom Thibodeau is asked about it now because it's becoming more and more obvious what's going on. You know what I mean? I don't know what he is on his last few 3-point attempts, but when I wrote my article for EmpireSportsMedia.com yesterday, I believe I said he was 5 for his last 20. No, 4 for his last 20. Yeah. It was 4 for his last 20. So he only attempted 1 shot tonight. So what are we? 4 for your last 21 from 3. That is not going to cut it when you're the team's supposed to be best 3-point shooter. You know what I mean? So I really don't know what to say about it anymore. I mean, Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo both play more minutes than him at this point. Josh Hart had 26 minutes tonight. DiVincenzo had about the same amount of minutes as Grimes tonight. Grimes had 18 minutes. DiVincenzo had 17. DiVincenzo had 17 minutes, 1 minute less than Quentin Grimes, and scored 7 more points than him. Deuce McBride also outscored Quentin Grimes today. Deuce McBride didn't play until the final 2 minutes of the game, and he outscored Quentin Grimes. Deuce McBride has like the same amount of points as Quentin Grimes has in the last 2 or 3 games. That's how many. Deuce McBride had 3 points today. I think Quentin Grimes had 3 points in the last game. I don't exactly remember off the top of my head, but it couldn't have been more than 3. That's basically what he does every game. It's 0, 3, 3, 6. Maybe you see 6 and you go, whoa, we had a pretty decent game. Why is that the bar now? You know what I mean? This guy averaged 11 points a game last year. I don't know. Enough talking about him, though. I'm kind of sick of talking about him, like you said. I just had to get that off my chest. They play the Boston Celtics on Friday. What a reward that is for advancing in the in-season tournament, right? We get rewarded with extra games against the Bucks and Celtics, 2 teams that we love playing so much, right? The 2 best teams in the NBA, arguably. Yeah, yay. We love playing them so much. We get extra games now. Yeah, we play them on Friday on the road. Again, this was just on the road against Milwaukee. That's going to be a very tough game. I'm not going to sit here and predict a loss because I don't want to do that. I don't want to put bad mojo in the air or anything. They're going to have some days off. They're going to have some time in between. They're going to have Wednesday and Thursday off. So, I'm hoping the Knicks come out energized on Friday, ready to play the Boston Celtics. This is another tough opponent. Last time they played them, Porzingis kind of gave us the business. I'm hoping Mitchell Robinson takes that matchup personally and doesn't allow that to happen again. When Mitchell Robinson matched up against Victor Wembanyama, he kind of mentioned Porzingis and said, I'm going to kind of play Wembanyama like how I do Porzingis. You didn't know what he really meant by that, but he shut Wembanyama down in that game, really made him look horrible. Robinson really put on a defensive masterpiece in that game. So I'm kind of hoping he takes that matchup personally and, doesn't allow Porzingis to really, do us in again because, that was pretty frustrating to watch last time, especially because Porzingis is a former Knick, as we all know. So, yeah, I'm hoping that they come out energized on Friday, and hopefully we're talking about a bounce back win. A win against the Celtics would be huge. If they beat the Celtics on Friday, I'll forget about this game against Milwaukee because realistically, on the bright side, you could say, okay, well, now the Knicks aren't going and playing extra games in Vegas that don't count towards the regular season. So if there's any silver lining, we can say that. So, we're back to regularly scheduled programming, I guess. No more of this in-season tournament stuff. I don't know how I really feel about how this in-season tournament went. I have mixed opinions about it. Some things were good. Some things I really don't like. But it is what it is. You guys know how I feel about the in-season tournament. Yeah, I really don't have much else to say. Hopefully they win on Friday.
Yeah, I just want to add to your in-season tournament comment. I mean, I still have mixed opinions about the in-season tournament as a whole. And before I really give a final conclusion of what I think about the in-season tournament, I want to see how these Vegas games play out. Unfortunately, we will not be watching the Knicks play in them, which is a good and bad thing. It's a good thing because you're not playing games that don't count to your record, so you're not risking injuries and stuff. It's a bad thing because we unfortunately don't get to watch the Knicks kind of compete for the first ever NBA Cup, which I guess would be pretty cool to see. But unfortunately, it will not be this year that we will see that happen. But, you know, the silver line you could say about this Knicks game is that they scored 122 points, which is obviously a good thing. The Bucks are not a good defensive team. The Knicks, I guess you could say, did take advantage of that. But when you get 146 back in return, I mean, that's brutal. And I need to see much better improved defense against Boston on Friday. And that's not going to be easy because, they have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White. They have a very, very good team, a team with, a lot of star power, a lot of high volume scores, a lot of, guys that can really get on a heater really quickly. I want to see an improved performance. I don't really have much else to really, dissect into that game because we've seen the Celtics already twice this season. Unfortunately, we've lost them both times, so I hope the Knicks can kind of bounce back here, get a win against them. Because like you said, if they beat Boston on Friday, same as you said, I will forget about this Bucks game. Will I be frustrated until Friday about this Bucks game? Yeah, because you gave up 146 points. That will never make me happy. Even if they won the game, I would still be pretty upset that they gave up that many points. But it would make me feel a little bit better about this team, in terms of how they match up against these, really good opponents. I thought that, leading up to this game that they've matched up, pretty decently against, good opponents. I know their record against above 500 teams would say otherwise. They're 5-7 against teams with a winning record or in the playoff picture. I should, kind of clarify on that. But even despite that, I feel like all those games they've been close in. They haven't really gotten blown out. Maybe like once or twice that they really were just out of it from start to finish. But they at least kind of put up a fight. This game just felt over. They really this one just felt completely over from start to finish, and I was really disappointed. Hopefully Boston is a better game though. Hopefully they, come out with some energy, play better defense, keep this high-powered offense. Hopefully we continue to get good games out of Randle and, Brunson as well. Of course, Brunson had a decent game in this one, by the way. He had 24 points and went 10 of 22, but he did go 0 for 5 from 3. So very game. A positive was that he, went 10 of 22 at 24, but a big negative, of course, the 0 for 5 from 3 that I mentioned. Hopefully, he bounces back from 3-point range against Boston. Hopefully, Randle puts in a big performance against Boston. Hopefully, Mitchell Robinson bounces back. And yeah, I don't have much else to say. I do want to pass it back to you, though, Justin. If you got anything else you want to add before we close this episode off, go for it.
Yeah, I just want to touch on something really quick. I just got a notification here from Stefan Bondi of the New York Post. He just put out a tweet talking about Quentin Grimes. I just said I was sick about talking about him, but this is noteworthy, so I'm gonna share it here with you guys. So basically, Bondi tweeted out that Quentin Grimes was openly frustrated with his role just now. Said it's tough to find a rhythm when he rarely touches the ball, stands in the corner, and gets subbed out after missing one shot. Wow. Okay, that's a lot. Obviously that's been kind of obvious when you watch the games that, he's not very involved. He doesn't touch the ball a whole lot, gets subbed out after missing one shot. But, 4 for 21 on your last 21 3-point attempts obviously speaks for itself. I do agree with him, though, that, maybe being able to get in a good rhythm would help him with that, and he wouldn't shoot 4 for 21 from 3. But I don't know. I think that's pretty interesting that he came out and said that. He's been a pretty quiet guy his entire time with the Knicks, and now he seems to be pretty frustrated with what's going on. That's really all. I just wanted to share that really quick. So I'll pass it off to you for the outro, I guess.
Yeah, before I do, close this episode off, I want to touch on that. That's an interesting comment. I did not know that. I'll assume that comment just came out now as we're recording this, right after the game had finished. And that's an interesting one because, like you just said, you usually don't hear much from Quentin Grimes in the media. Anytime he does speak to the media, he does it in the the professional way you expect, gives the good PR answers, if you will. That one he lashed out a little bit. That one seems like it's really starting to get to him a bit, that he's not really getting into a rhythm and that he's not involved with the offense. He's not getting the shots up he wants. He's not getting the looks that he wants. And when he does get the looks and if he misses, then boom, he gets subbed out right away. I don't know if that comment is a shot at Tom Thibodeau or if it's just lashed over frustration. The fact that he's had so many games where he's either gone scoreless or put up like 3 points in the game. I really don't know what it is. I understand where he's coming from because, he's not wrong. He's not getting the ball a whole lot and he's not, being really involved in the offense. He's kind of just asked to sit in the corner and not do much and, give the ball to Randle, Barrett, or Brunson. So I understand in his perspective why he's frustrated. However, at the same time, I also don't think it's an excuse to poor play because at the end of the day, he is still playing 20 minutes a game at least. And therefore, in those 20 minutes, you have an opportunity to kind of show why you should be starting, why you should be able to involve yourself in the offense a little bit more, why, Barrett, Brunson, and Randle should give you the ball and why they should, let you get those shots. You got to hit your shots. You got to actually move around a little bit and stuff like that. Now, if the game plan, if the plays they're running is telling him to sit in the corner, it's a different story, of course. But of course, they're not running plays every single play that they're doing. They freestyle plays. That's kind of just how basketball works. That's the chance for Grimes right there to kind of show, like, yeah, I can move around a bit. I can get myself open off the ball. I can move around off the ball. I can make the right reads. I can make the right passes. I can, figure out what I'm going to do as the play is developing. Let plays develop for himself as well. Kind of let himself get involved because, these guys aren't ball hogs. Randall was a good passing forward. Brunson's an underrated passer as it is. I'm pretty sure he's averaging close to 6 assists a game. These guys aren't ball hogs. They do share the rock, but no one's getting open and the spacing's been bad. And I think Quentin Grimes contributes to that. So therefore, I think it goes both ways. I understand his frustration that he's not getting the ball a whole lot, but at the same time, there hasn't been really a reason for them to give him the ball. He hasn't really shown much. That's at least my take on it, though. I think it would be a good idea to kind of make a separate video about that sometime in the future because I do think it's becoming very quickly a pretty hot topic in the Knicks community right now. Not much, there hasn't been much news within the Knicks outside of, a couple comments from Josh Hart and, of course, the slow start that Julius Randle had to the season. Other than that, they've kind of just been playing games and winning a lot of games. Unfortunately, they didn't win this one, but now we got this Quentin Grimes drama going on. So that'll be interesting to monitor going forward and seeing if anything really turns out of that in their next game against Boston. But I do think this is a good time to wrap the episode up. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. We really, really appreciate you guys' support on the channel. Make sure you guys let us know what you want to say about, not only this game against the Bucks, but, the Quentin Grimes news that just came out. Let us know. We'd love to hear what you guys got to say about all that stuff, as well as like Julius Randle's good play. Any of those things, just let us know what you want to say in the comment section below. The audio versions of these podcasts can be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so make sure you give us a 5-star rating on those. You can follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're on X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, of course, this YouTube page that you are watching the video on. You can follow our personal X accounts. They're above our heads. And we'll see you guys in the next episode of Fireside Knicks. Peace out.